Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming on to another episode of The Female Fist. I have a veteran with us today, somebody that I've known for years, since before I even started competing. And she has such an amazing, exciting, and colorful story that I'm so excited to share with everybody. Please welcome Mckenzie Wright. How are you doing, Mckenzie?
What's up, Scarlett? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I can't wait to see you for training later.
See you Friday.
So what's been going on with you? Like, I haven't even really been able to catch up about all of your stuff. Like, every time we go training, it's always about like down to business, or we're always talking about like what's going on right now and stuff. And it's kind of like, well, like I mentioned, we've known each other for so long. I met you when I think I was like 15 when I met you.
I think I was like, I want to say like 2012 or 2013 we met. That's going back.
I'm pretty sure before that, to be honest, because I think around that time, my father was already coaching out of other gyms.
It was right at that transition part. I like that. We kind of like crossed ship. We were like ships in the night, just like crossing.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But you were already in the boxing world.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I met you, like you already had like a lot of experience. So actually, I kind of want to rewind a little bit and talk about like, why did you start your journey in boxing in the first place?
Like, how did I get started in the sport in general?
Yeah, because I mean, when I talk to you, you have so many amazing like talents and all these crazy stories, and you have all these fun things. I mean, I'm like, well, where did this all kind of like start? Like, how did this get into the mix of your life?
So it goes way back to high school. It was very like unexpected. I wouldn't say I was like the most athletic person in school sports. Like I played like the field hockey team, rugby, whatever. But just for fun. And then part of our grade 9 gym curriculum is you have to do a week of self-defense. And did you do that?
Yeah, we did that
at high school. Yeah. And then after you so you have a full week, you learn all these like fighting techniques. I knew absolutely nothing about this. And then the last day of this course, you have an attack day. So on attack day, the guy's you go on one side of the ring and he comes and he's gonna attack you, and you have 2 minutes to fight him off. So like one boxing round, but you use everything, right? So most of my friends hated this.
Yes.
They were like, this is awful. They hated every minute of it. I loved it.
Did you love it?
I did. I loved it. I was like, you have this power. And
you like wear like the face shield too, and like
did, yeah. Like the Michelin Man like full suit. Yeah. So I did the 2 minutes of fighting this guy off who's trying to attack you. And like after, I remember my adrenaline was like so high, but I was like, this was so fun. But I think it was fun for me because I felt like I was good at it. And I just think you're naturally like more drawn to like what you're good at. You're going to enjoy.
Pulling you to that.
Yeah. So after that experience, I was like, that kind of like switched a light bulb in my head. Like maybe I should get involved in some sort of martial art. So my dad just had this random friend who he knew he was involved in something, but not really. And it was kickboxing. So I went over to my first ever like martial arts experience. It was at this dojo in Oakville. And it was called Kick Jitsu. And it was half jiu-jitsu, half kickboxing. Okay. I didn't want anything to do with jiu-jitsu though. Like not my thing. I just wanted to like hit to strike. Yeah. And I didn't like the idea of like belts and rankings. I was just like, just put me in there. So I started going to just like the fitness classes. I was like, okay, this is fun. Like I want to hit somebody. And then I saw after class, like the advanced people, I saw them sparring. I had no idea what was happening. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Oh. So I trained in kickboxing for about 2 years. And then from there, I started having my first ever kickboxing fights. And it was right around the time, like they didn't even allow like full contact kickboxing in Ontario. What's that?
What year was this?
2007, maybe.
Oh my God, I was
I think
12.
I'm not gonna say how old I was.
No,
Um,
like I just think like, oh my God, this is like so long ago. Like you've been doing this even
yeah,
before, like I thought, you know what I mean? But go on.
yeah, this is like going back into the archives. And yeah, so I started kickboxing. And with that, I mean, like, there wasn't as much competition. So like I got on the provincial team with like just a handful of fights, right? There was only so many girls that, and at such a high caliber, like it wasn't that big a deal at the time. But I got on the provincial team. From there I got onto the national team, so I was able to do a lot of like get around and do some traveling for kickboxing. I got to have some like international experience. But like I said, there wasn't that many girls, and it was just like not really that recognized compared to what it is now. So I was just fighting the same girl over and over, a girl from Kingston. And I was just like, how many more times do I want to do
Hi.
like, how many more times do I want to fight the same girl? So that's how I ended up just crossing over into boxing, just so I could stay active. And yeah, so about maybe a year later, I'd only had maybe three kickboxing fights in my first year. And I crossed over into boxing, and then I was able to start getting more fights. There was actual tournaments with, an actual pool of girls. There was more higher competition. So then I made the switch. I was like, I like boxing better anyways. More competition, more girls, there's funding, like it's Olympic recognized. So boxing is for me.
Organized, a little bit more like updated and stuff. Like, because I know that now, like the kickboxing community is still not like you want to compare it with the boxing community. That's
no,
they definitely like evolve, but they're still like, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that it's the end all be all, but like it's not an Olympic recognized sport. So there's just like there's less funding, there's less gyms, there's just less into it in this country anyway. So
right. And so when you made that transition over to boxing, what was the first gym that you went to specifically just for boxing?
So I was boxing out of Burlington for my, I don't know, first my 20 bouts or something like that. And then
bouts.
What's that?
That's a significant amount of bouts.
Honestly, I was active. I was like,
you're like,
put
me in there.
Well, also the rules were a little different. I feel like such like a old timer being like, back when I was
over here, like really.
It was more like loose. Yeah. So there was no, I mean, you could upgrade from novice. You could upgrade from being a youth. So I had 2 novice, I think, youth fights.
Okay.
And then it was just like, screw this, we're not doing this. And I hopped into open senior women's class. Nice. So I could get a lot more fights. Just hopping around in weight and stuff as well. Anyways, circling back.
Yeah.
So I had about 20, maybe 30 tops fights out of my old gym in Burlington. And that's when I was like, I don't want to kickbox anymore. Like it was just time to switch gyms. And so I actually knew Joey de los Reyes from Combat Arts because I had traveled with him for kickboxing. Mm-hmm. And I knew that his gym, Combat Arts in Mississauga, like they do it all, right? They're a mega gym. Like they've got the more traditional martial arts, Filipino martial arts, but they had kickboxing and they had a boxing curriculum. Right. And I knew Joey, so I was a little bit more comfortable. So I went over to there. And this is when, you were kind of on your way out of Combat Arts. Yeah. And I was just coming in. And there's the boxing program was kind of in limbo. And that's when Sean Fulgencio, he kind of scooped me up and we just we really clicked. We really got along. He was a young guy then and still a young guy, but we really hit it off. And like, he got my style, I got his style. So I worked with Sean maybe 5 or 6 years, all at Combat Arts. Yeah. Until I took a break from the sport.
Yeah, and like, what were the differences for in the training, like as opposed to kickboxing? Like, for example, when your coach, like doing the kickboxing, how did you
Yeah.
find it? Like, did you find that you were doing more workload in boxing, even though you were taking away the legs, or like, how did you find that difference in training?
Um, for me, like I was never a great kickboxer. Like I wasn't. I didn't kick much.
Really?
Like, yeah, I had a few one hit wonders that were like TKOs by kicks. I don't know how that happened because I would I would box in my kickboxing. It was
Yeah.
my strength. My hands were way better than my feet. So I mean, in kickboxing, it was to the point they were taking away points from me because I wasn't throwing enough kicks. I was just boxing. So in that sense, it didn't really change. The biggest change for me was I actually got picked up by a strength and conditioning coach. He
Okay.
noticed me at Combat Arts. This was Daniel Thiessen.
Okay.
And I started working with him. And that was, we started amping up my intensity. We started doing a proper like weights program. Like I was this gangly little girl. And then we
And now
started
we're
like
flex poses on
I
Instagram.
know, right? Now it's a flex off. So like working with an actual strength and conditioning program, that was the biggest difference for me. But so the kicking training, not so much. I didn't kick anyways.
Okay, so it wasn't really too, okay, I see what you're saying. Because even if you say, let's say hypothetically with the kickboxing, and let's say you just got a strength and conditioning coach, it fundamentally you probably would have been doing the same stuff, but you just because you were using just your hands anyways.
Yeah, yeah. I would do some like kicks on the bag. That'd be it. That'd be the only difference.
50 kicks one side and then 50 kicks the other side. Okay, I'm good.
Call it a day. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. So you took a break. And I remember not seeing you. Like, I remember when I was going to like provincials, I was going to Brampton Cup, I was going to like, I was getting my stuff in, but I knew you. And I noticed that some people were not in the scene anymore. And I remember you being one of them. And then I heard like a few years go by, it's like, oh yeah, Mckenzie, she's living in another country right now. And I was like, oh, okay. So want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah. So okay, we got to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
When I was kickboxing,
yeah,
I did get to travel with their national team, and I got to go on some really cool international trips. And one of them was South Africa. And so we went there with the team. I purely went like, this is business. Like I'm there to fight. No other reason really. I had no interest in going to South Africa. I didn't really care where the destination was. I just wanted to fight.
Right.
And then when we got there, we did the fights. And then we had a little bit of downtime and we went on some safaris. And I was just like, I don't know. For me, it just like sparked this like real interest. I was like, yeah, we saw some rhinos.
Rhinos. Oh my
Hi, Luna.
Hi, rhino.
Yeah, rhino. Yeah, we saw some rhinos, and like I just thought this was the coolest thing of all time. So I was like, okay, I want to come back here. It just really sparked this passion that I had no idea I had. I was like, I really need to come back here, but just like on personal time. So after I finished college, I did go back to South Africa, and I had like the most amazing visit of my life. I was like, oh, I gotta come back here again.
Yeah.
So the next trip, 2 years later, I went for a month. And I went up into Zimbabwe and Botswana, because Botswana is the element of the world. Like,
sorry, 1 second. You're kind of cutting out a little bit.
Are you frozen?
1 second. Yeah, you're kind of cutting out just a little bit. Let me check this. I'm not having luck with the internet these days. I can hear you, but your camera's frozen.
Let me switch to.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Okay, wait, you're a little bit pixeled. A little bit.
Should I switch that?
Pardon? Hello? Shoot. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Perfect. I can't hear you. Oh, wait, your mic is off?
There we go.
Perfect. Okay.
All right, we're back. Technical difficulty. All right, just cut that out.
You went to Zimbabwe and then you kind of cut off?
Okay, I went to Zimbabwe. Yeah, and then same thing happened again. I was like, I have a certain love and passion of the wildlife here that I just like, it's, I don't know, it's my drawing. It's my, like, I'm drawn to it. It's my calling. So I ended up moving to South Africa.
I love that. You just no fear, like right,
Yeah.
like Oakville, Burlington, Ontario,
I
Canada,
know.
South Africa.
Yeah, like sometimes you just have to risk it for the biscuit. So you just have to move continents sometimes. So yeah, the last 4 years, I've been living, I was actually working for a tour company. So I got to tour and travel the 8 southern countries of the African continent with tourists, and yeah, like try my best to find them animals, tell them all about the animals. Like I had to study this stuff, learned a lot about birds, learned a lot about the animals, and yeah, that's pretty much my life. It was pretty chaotic because it was on the road all the time. Like half the time I didn't have water or electricity or I don't know, a bath. Like anything can happen, right?
How was that working out with, like, what were like the living conditions where you work? Like, how did that all work out over there? I'm very like, I don't know anything about like that part of the world.
It kind of depends where you are. Like there would be a few days where, you know, I would send a text to my family and just say, hey, you're not going to hear from me for 5 days because we have no service. Like you're out. There's nothing developed in that area. But if you're in Johannesburg or you're in Cape Town, like then yeah, there's Wi-Fi everywhere. There's restaurants, like there's Starbucks and all that stuff. So it really depends where you are. But the last year I spent living in Cape Town. So I was in an actual house with actual, you know, facilities.
And like, were you living on your own throughout this whole time, or like were you living
No.
with people too?
Well, I mean, on the road, I was going from hotel to hotel. So I would have a new group of travelers with me like every 3 weeks. And I'd be paired with different guides and drivers to work with.
Oh my God, that's crazy. That's like so interesting that you it's so cool. Like how often, like, I don't know, I've never really met anybody that's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna pack up and move. And then they just went and had this whole
It happens.
so opposite, you know, that's amazing. And
yeah.
like, did you ever go to any of like boxing gyms down there? Like, or how did, like, because I know you went down there to fight with the kickboxing.
Yeah.
Good.
There was one boxing gym. It was called Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and it was right in Cape Town. And I just went there like once or twice, but it was pretty far away. I was like, yeah. I did find a gym by my house in Cape Town, and they had a heavy bag, so I would commandeer that, and that was about it though.
Like boxing like a big thing in the community at all, or like any combat sports? No.
I mean, a little bit. I can't really say because I wasn't really involved, you know.
Fair enough.
Maybe it's bigger for the guys, but like for girls,
right.
No.
Right. So you never wanted to try and do like a bout out there or anything like that for boxing?
Honestly, no. Also with the schedule, like their trainer at Blood, Sweat, and Tears, he was a pro. He was from Zimbabwe, and he was like, I would love to get you a fight. Like we're hosting a card in like a month, but I was always in and out on the road. Like I couldn't commit to a training schedule by any means. The most training I would get is I had a pair of like gymnastics rings,
right,
and I would hang them in a tree and do pull-ups in the tree.
Nice.
So that's about.
This was Mckenzie. Yeah. Just going to South Africa, hanging out with
doing pull-ups in a tree.
Gotta risk it for the biscuit.
You do.
This is so awesome. I want to go to South Africa with you. This would be so interesting.
10 out of 10 would recommend to visit. So
No, I've always wanted to, like, I think just because, like, I have no knowledge, like, I've traveled to, like, Europe, I've traveled to Asia, I've traveled to, like, so many different places, all whatever. There's some areas that I never thought about, and then when I hear that people go there, like, for example, South Africa, like, I never thought about going to that region of the world, and then, like, hearing that,
yeah,
it's like, I'm curious, like, I wanna know what it's like.
I would say like my whole like I came home and have now moved back to Canada because COVID just like changed all my life plans. Like it did for so many people.
Back because of COVID?
Sorry?
Like, the main reason why you came back because of COVID?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean it was at the point like last year it was like red alert all over the world and Justin Trudeau's like all Canadians abroad get back immediately because borders are closing and you might not get back in. So we just didn't know what was happening. So I was like, I didn't want to come home. I'm glad I came home. Like at the time, like nobody knew, right? So I was like, oh, maybe it won't be that serious. Like,
And also your family's here and, like, God forbid, and then you couldn't get back in or something if you needed to see them.
well, here's the thing too, is the healthcare in these third world countries, right? Like it's just not reliable. So I didn't want to get in any sort of trouble in that department either. So we just decided like, I'll come home when I can get back there. I'll get back there. But I've obviously ended up staying here. We're pivoting. So
Yeah.
yeah, I got on the second last flight out, and then they locked their borders for like 5 months or something, 6 months.
You just
That's
made
glad. Yeah, I just made it.
You were destined to come back. You were destined to be back in part of the sport.
I missed it. I missed it, to be honest. But yeah, I would say like it's South Africa in general is one of like the most beautiful countries I've ever seen in my life. That's why I kept going back until I stayed for a while. Like, but it's a very, very, very different experience to visit it as like a tourist, like for us to come in and just like, live our best life for 2 weeks.
Right.
It's a very different experience to visit than it is to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had some conversations with people where just like, they're like, I thought Cape Town was a very like first world country. And it is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
Like what, if you go on Instagram, you'll see like, oh, it looks amazing. Right. But, Cape Town in general has millions and millions of people living in the townships, right? You don't see that on Instagram, where 100 people share a tap. Like, I mean, the country has, when I was there, it was like maybe like 20 or 30% unemployment rate. Like it's rough, right? And with that comes poverty, comes violence. Like it's a lot different to live there. And I would always be complaining and like phoning home, just like we ran out of water again for the 10th day in a row. They were shutting off the taps because Cape Town was the first country the first city in the world that was going to run out of water for 3 million people. Like stuff just doesn't work there the way it works here. Like we turn on a hot shower like instant. There we're boiling our water just to drink it. Like
Right. And I guess like that also created a deeper appreciation on your end, like just even living it, because of course we can all, study this stuff, let's say, we can all like research about this stuff, about the realities and hear people's stories, but then the fact that you actually there and experienced it firsthand, you have a completely different outlook on this. And now that you're back here too.
Yeah, like I've definitely been humbled and just a lot more appreciative for the little things like we have electricity through the whole day, right? That wasn't a thing for us there. They shut it off for hours at a time to save their power grids because of corruption. They're not maintained. So there's no electricity half the time and there's no water half the time. But I've spoken to other people who are visiting other countries like Uganda, and they're walking for 4 hours for water. So I was in like the hub where things were good, and it was still really challenging. It was still really challenging. And the other aspect was like, even me being like a fighter, like, I've been in fights, whatever, like boxing fights, like I like to think I'm tough-ish. And I did not feel safe. I did not feel safe. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't walk to the grocery store without pepper spray in my pocket. Like, it's just a reality.
Did you ever have like interactions or like confrontations or?
I mean, every time I walk to the grocery store, I would be harassed for sure. And I also, like, I had to watch where I would speak. So I normally wouldn't speak just because of my accent. That would, kind of be like, the color of my skin. I'm a female and I'm foreign. Like, I'm a prime target, right? But it's just the areas that you're in. Like, you don't go out after dark. But I did have one incident in Johannesburg. I just happened to be in the wrong place, wrong time. And our Uber was surrounded by men, and they slammed our driver in and stole his keys, and I thought we were all going to get robbed, and luckily we didn't. But I don't know what ended up happening to the Uber driver. I don't know. It was scary. He pulled into the wrong parking lot, and they're like, "You're not allowed to be here. We'll give you your keys back if you give us like $150." So we gave him the money we had.
Yeah.
So I don't know how, but that was really the only scary incident. Other than like, that
wouldn't happen here in Toronto, let's say. I mean, I guess it could, but like not really. Like, that's not something.
I mean, things happen everywhere. Like, will I walk around Toronto at 10 or 11 o'clock by myself? Probably not.
Well, I guess I won't tell you my stories.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, probably not. But like, I mean, there's just a lot more poverty, so there's more desperation, right? So like, I don't want to say like I understand, like it makes sense.
Yeah.
You just definitely have to be a lot more aware.
But that's
and then I got a pair of boxing gloves stolen. I was really upset about that.
You had to get that in. Somebody stole my boxing. That was really irritating me.
They did. They broke into the car and they took my boxing gloves of everything.
In that incident.
What's that?
Did you get in that incident?
No, I wasn't at the car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I was like, these are nice gloves. You're just gonna sell them. You're not gonna use them. Like,
no respect. No respect.
But bigger picture.
Yeah. No, of course. And like that's still so traumatizing to even experience something like that, because we do come from a luxury lifestyle over here. These are not things we're supposed to, and we don't get like, it's not like we're seeing these things over here on a daily basis in front of us where it's desensitized. So something like that to happen to you is of course still like, whoa, and then kind of like a wake up call, I would imagine, right?
Yeah. Like it definitely made me come home and realize like everything that I took for granted, just as far as walking down the street, like being a female and wearing what I want to wear without being like targeted. Like, I'm not saying everything's perfect here, but just in comparison, like I came home and I was like, yeah, I get it.
And like, I get it. It's such a free country, the things do. I think the fact that you and I, as we mentioned, like we could, I'm not, obviously, like you said, everything happens everywhere, but you and I technically could walk through the street of Toronto. We have like so much more opportunities for, let's say, somebody to help us, or if a situation were to happen, because you can't just get away with things here. Somebody does something here, that the consequences are more severe and they're taken fast.
Yeah, for sure. And there's just, I mean, there's a lot less. I'm not saying there's none. There's a lot less corruption here. So I'm happy to be home.
Well, I'm happy you're back too. Then you into the sport. So how was that? Like, when did you decide, like, you know what, I'm going to kind of get back into training? Like when you came back, because, you did come back during a pandemic. So how did that whole thing go for you?
Yeah. I mean, when I was living in South Africa, I would come home and visit like 1 or 2 times a year. Like it's too far to not see my family. And whenever I was home, I'd be like calling anybody I know. I'm like, do you want to train? Do you want to spar? Like I always had the bug, right? that never truly went away. So whenever I was home, like I'd be like, hey, we're doing a little 3-week training camp. So like, yeah, I always missed the sport. That hunger never went away. But then coming back from in the pandemic, yeah, there's this girl you might know. Her name's Mandy Bujold.
I think I've heard.
I think I've heard of her.
I think I've heard.
Yeah, because she was getting ready for, at the time, was 2020 Olympics, right? But then it got pushed back. And she, like, I hadn't talked to her in quite a while, because I was gone, but we used to train together like here and there. And I trained with her more often when she was getting ready for the Pan Am Games. And so she sends me a message. She's like, I hear you're back. And I'm like, maybe. Like, what?
Message from Mandy, like, play cool, maybe.
I'm like, what's your angle? No. And she was like, I'm looking for training partners. Like, would you like to come and train with me, like on whatever day or week it was? Like, would you want to come for some rounds? And I'm like, sure. This is when this was allowed, by the way. And so I was obviously very nervous, and I was like, listen, like, I am rusty, like I've been out of it.
Yeah.
And but she's like, no problem, like we won't kill each other, like let's make it work. And yeah, so I went there, and like after, I was like feeling really happy about this. I was like, I was like, I miss this feeling. This is a really good feeling. And I met her coach, who is Sid Vanderpool. And then yeah, we had the sparring, and like I got wrecked, right? Like I just got killed. But I was like,
in there.
I was like, I'll come back for more. I was like, if I'm invited.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I had a chat with Sid, and he was like, are you back? What are you doing? What are your plans? And so yeah, he was like, I think you should come back. I'm like, I think I should come back too. And yeah, I had to redeem myself from that sparring. And from there, that sort of snowballed. And like now I'm there regularly at SidFit in Kitchener. I'm training with three champions under Sid's guidance. So yourself, Mandy, Caitlin Clark. And like I've never had a team like this, especially women, right? Like that's rare to find. And so we've been so lucky to have each other throughout this whole thing, to be at that higher caliber, and we all motivate each other. We were talking about this just the other week, how like, you know, if I'm only there on Fridays, but like I know these girls are training their asses off in the week, so I'm like, I don't really want to train right now, but like I have to bring my piece to the table. So that motivates me to keep training. And so from there, things have really like snowballed. And I think I've definitely found like the love of the sport again.
Absolutely. That's one thing that I say to everybody is that, and you know what's funny is that even though coming from completely different reasons to come into the team, I understand what you mean by you rediscovered that love for the sport again, because I feel like that too. Sid has just a really good way of bringing us together, having us work together. It's like I used to take it so seriously, like a job almost. And I
Mhm.
like, oh, this is business. And I never understood the importance of like the teammates. It was always so like I have my coach, I have my strength and conditioning coach, and I have like sparring partners, and like that's my team. But like my team is me and my coach.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, this is what a team is. All of us working together, all of us motivating each other and pushing each other and pushing our boundaries. And we're all having fun in the process.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when I decided that I was going to jet and move to South Africa, like I think I just kind of had enough of the sport at that time. Like I'd been in it for like over 10 years at that point. And I was just like, what am I doing? Like, like I need to change. I need something different. Like I just didn't have that like hunger that you need in order to do well in this sport. Like this isn't, I don't know. I don't want to insult any other sport. Like it's intense.
Yeah.
And you need that drive if you're going to be successful in it. So I think stepping away for a few years, like, was actually kind of a good thing because it allowed me to have a break, get away from everything, and then rediscover, oh, I actually still really love this.
Kind of detox from like anything that was
Mhm.
like, because like you said, it is a buildup. Like training for boxing, it's really hard, mostly mentally, because you're going into the ring knowing somebody's going to punch you in the face, knowing they want to knock you out, and even if you don't think about it directly, it's still like you're training for those moments. And then like it's like you have one shot in a span of 15 minutes to either proceed or not. It's a lot of mental stress on a fight.
9 minutes.
Yeah. Well, including the rest in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just and everything happens so fast. Like when you're like, even when we're dissecting sparring, it's like going through how the judges like point the systems. Like everything goes by so fast. You have such limited time, but yet you're training for like 6 to 8 weeks leading up for that one moment.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And like, especially working with Sid now, like he's picked up things in all of us, right? That like, I'm sure you've never been pointed out before from a different coach, right? He's just like, what? Like, I drop my right hand? What? My knees point in different directions? Like, just those little things. But also, like, Sid's really been able to pick up on my mental game, because that's something I've gotten away from, is the mentality of being a fighter and being, as you said, ready to come in for those 9 minutes of preparing for the worst, literally, to make sure that you perform your best.
Yeah.
So working with Sid, he's been able to really, how do I say this? Like, narrow in on that aspect of my training, because it's a skill, right? Yeah. Mental training is just as much of a skill that you develop than, say, your job.
Yeah, absolutely. Training the mind and the body come hand in hand. I think that training the mind is even more like,
I mean, to a degree, like we see it 100 times over when the better fighter doesn't win, not because they're not the better boxer, but because they walked in the ring and crumbled.
Yeah, because they weren't ready to perform at the level that they're capable of.
And and
go on.
I was saying, like, that happened to me. I was at a nationals, and going into the ring, I was the top seed too. Like, I was the favorite to win. And I'm like going into the steps, and it was a big learning curve for me. I was literally on deck. I was like, I've forgotten something. It's like, do I have my mouthpiece? Do I have my water? Like, I have everything. And I was like going into the ring feeling like I forgot something, and I crumbled. Like,
I'm preoccupied.
I forgot to prepare mentally. And not until I went after like this debrief, like I lost the fight to a fight that I should have won, because I was the better boxer. Like, no disrespect, but it is what it is. But this girl, like, she, on that day, she believed that she would beat me. She believed it. She talked herself up. I forgot to do that for myself.
Right.
To like train that part. And until I addressed that and was like, oh, this is a skill I need to work on, then it was, I had that on my to-do list of a camp. Like, I'm working on my jab, I'm working on my cross, I'm working on my footwork. I have to work on my self-belief.
Right.
Otherwise.
Like, that is so important. Was it Sid that specifically pointed that out to you at this point? Or like, were you always kind of told that?
No, this was my first kickboxing coach. This is
okay, that said, like, you need to work on this.
Yeah, because we were trying to, after the fight, he's like, how do you feel? I'm like, I've forgotten something. This is after I lost. I've forgotten something. We had to figure out, what did I forget? And so when we pinpointed, that's what I forgot. Like, even though it wasn't a physical thing, it was just like in here, I forgot about that. Then he actually gave me this book, and I carry this book around with me to every tournament, every match. I read it at night. It's on my bedside table. And it's the cheesiest book of all time. It's not even a real book. It's like a photocopy book.
What is it?
And it's called Winning State Wrestling.
Okay.
So it's not even about boxing, but so much of it like crosses over. And it's just about like channeling what they it's so cheesy about it's channeling your big dog energy. Okay. So like me, I don't consider myself a big dog, right? I'm quiet.
Oh, you a
I'm
big,
shy. You're a big dog?
you a big dog.
Do you think you're a big dog?
Yeah, I'm a big dog.
I think you're a big dog. You have big dog energy. Yeah. I don't. I'm quiet. I'm just like floating through life.
Oh, well, I don't know. I kind of see you as like I think that being a leader and a big dog comes in very many forms. Like I don't think that it's just like one shoe fits all for that specific category. I think that like it channels through in different ways.
So for me, I had to learn to activate big dog energy. So maybe that's why you perceive me as being a big dog, because I had to hone that. Like that didn't come naturally for me. So maybe that's a little more natural now. But yeah, the book's about channeling that and that kind of thought instead of focusing on fear, because every time you step into a ring, you're going to have doubts, you're going to have fears, you're going to have, oh, did I do this right? Like, oh, this person looks really, really ripped. Like, so instead of focusing on that, like if I was across from Scarlett, I'd be like, yo, those biceps.
But you have the little abs. That's where I would be like, oh man, she has those lower abs.
You wear the jersey, you can't see.
Oh no, they ripple through.
Sure. So yeah, I like instead of focusing on that, like, oh, my opponent, she beat this person who beat this person who beat that person, or like she's got a really mean uppercut. It's just focusing like on yourself, your strength, and like when you believe, then like you just radiate that. That makes you a big dog. So it separates the, I don't know, winning and not winning.
No, it does because we talked about this, I think, with Sid, where when you reach a certain level, you know, both athletes at like a national level or like an international world class stage, you're all training like immense hours. Everybody knows that they're putting in all the time physically.
Mhm.
And most of the times when you get to the final bouts of these major tournaments, it's usually comes down to who wants it more, who can
Yeah,
stay.
I mean, everyone's in shape.
Yeah,
Everyone's got experience. Everyone's like got technique.
exactly.
So that's the who believes that they're going to win can be the deciding factor of a match.
And even us, like in our team, like we're all high elite level athletes, but we have days we come in and we're just not mentally on. And we get caught with like the silliest things where it's like, you know, Sid will pull us over later and be like, where are you today? You know, like something so calm.
Mhm.
That's I think too is what makes him such a great coach is that
Yeah.
he's so calm with his approaches and
Yeah.
so level minded, and he brings us to our center so that we can analyze ourselves as well and like really reflect on our stuff rather than just telling at us his opinion without
Hmm.
letting us have our own view. Like he's really good at that.
Yeah, I like that word you use, center. Like he centers us
Yeah,
to like pinpoint, okay, what was the problem? Not why did this happen? Like not like the reaction, but more so like what caused this.
exactly. So now
Yeah.
like that you're back and now we're all training, we have this amazing phenomenal dream team that everybody's jealous.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
I
said it.
would be too.
Yeah, I would be too if I was looking at it. I would be too. I'd be like, I want to be a part of that team.
Mhm.
Now that we're here and you know everything is still kind of up in the air, everything is still kind of uncertain. Do you have any goals at this point in boxing? Like, do you want to step back in the ring eventually? Like, let's say hypothetically things open up in September for boxing bouts. Is this something that you're kind of like thinking like, yeah, I want to go back into it, or where are you right now with this?
Yeah, I mean that's the big question is hypothetically what's going to happen, right? Like I mean right now, like I feel almost ready to go. Like we're almost there.
I've been in the
Wait,
ring
what's that?
to go.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, like I would feel ready to go. I don't think anything's happening soon.
I know.
That's the reality. So I would love to. I definitely, yeah, like I've reignited the drive and the passion, and like I love training again. So I would love to sort of also like, I've elevated my game for sure. I was looking back on old videos. I'm like, I'm way better now than I was then. Like, so if I stepped into a ring now, the result would probably be like even better, even though I already found like a good amount of success. I feel like I would be even better now, but when is this going to happen? And I mean, I've also like taken a different outlook on the sport. Like, I have a life outside of it now. So I am going back to school in September. I can't wait for. So like, if things open up, put me in. But my priority is school, and life outside of this I do this because I love it. And like, I love hanging out with you guys. I love working with Sid. I love the community and atmosphere of it. And like, I love just like the grit, and I love training. So we'll see what happens, but like, I can't really give an answer. I'm going with the flow of things. Yeah. But school is my priority, but like, I'm ready to go. If that answers without giving a full solid answer.
No, absolutely. Because, well, I mean, none of us can give a full answer right now, right? Just like we said, like just because of this current situation. But I love that. Yeah. And I think that like that's the best place to be. Like, you know, whatever happens, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And when we cross that bridge, like I feel like our team, we're ready. So
we're the dream team.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. Stay ready so we don't have to get ready. Isn't that the saying? The really cheesy saying?
Yeah, so right.
I feel like that would go in my really cheesy book.
You're like, everything's cheesy. Like, no, it's so true. Why complicate?
It's true, but it's cheesy.
It's true. Get down to the raw basics.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we'll see.
We'll see. Okay. Well, and we'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there. I won't run away to Africa again.
Yeah, please don't, because you at least take me. I want to see it.
I would definitely recommend going for a visit.
Okay. So maybe we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Mckenzie? Like, I'm so happy that you came on here.
Thanks for having me.
No, this was just amazing, and I hope that, you know, everybody really like tunes into this whole story, because it's just phenomenal. No, really, like your journey, I don't hear these things that often, so this is really cool. And just for other people to hear a different perspective of things, and like your outlook on the sport, and coming back into the sport after such a layoff, like it just kind of shows that it doesn't matter where life takes you, your calling is your calling. Drawn to those things that you're meant for, and that is super important. I just love it.
Thanks. Like, I mean, hopefully it's like anybody's listening to or listens to my story, because I know it's kind of all over the place for sure, but like, just try different things, you know what I mean? Don't put all your eggs into one basket. Like, try to, like, you're like, oh, I don't want to do this because of boxing. Like, boxing's gonna be there. Like, everyone just calm down. It'll be there when you're ready. When you're ready, it'll be there for you.
I love that. And that is such an important message for everybody to hear. And you're the prime example of that. Look at you. You're fucking another continent. And then you come back, and here you are, part of this dream team, and you're ready to go. Just whenever it calls for you, you're ready.
I didn't expect that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, that's how these things happen, is that the unexpected, right?
Exactly. So just roll with the punches.
Thank you again so much, Mckenzie. And thank you everybody for tuning in for this episode of the Female Fist. And if everybody wanted to, let's say, find you or follow you on your journey and, you know, going with the flow with you, where would they be able to find you?
Well, my Instagram, I don't have Facebook. I got off there. It's too chaotic. But I'm on Instagram, Mckenzie.Wright. It's with 2 T's. But I'm private because the internet's weird. Yeah. But my picture is me with an elephant, like, easy to find.
Elephant. So that
yeah. This is an elephant footprint.
Is that actually?
Yeah.
That's so sick. I really want to go to South Africa now. I want to see.
I'll bring you. We'll go. It'll be amazing. Team fight trip.
Woo! Like it. Thank you again, everybody. If anybody needs to watch more of the episodes of The Female Fist, my Instagram is Scarlett Delgado, ScarlettDelgado. Thank you again for tuning in with us, and we'll see you next week on another episode of The Female Fist.
Bye.